All right, welcome to Tips Live. We're excited for another episode. Continue to committed to bringing you relevant and exciting content. And we've got a special guest for us today, Kristina Neace. Kristina, thanks
Hi.
for joining us.
Hello. How are you?
We're doing great, and we're excited to hear what you have to tell us. Kristina, we've been working together for a while, for a few years. You've taken on uh, quite a few different roles, and currently head up our leasing division as our leasing manager. So tell the audience a little bit about what you do there, and yeah, just kind of share a little bit about your background there.
I went into this a couple years ago. I basically got an email from you that said, "Hey, we have a company that is interested in us kind of establishing a leasing connection with them." And I've always been kind of driven with the sales side as far as trying to help you guys out and bring in leads and things like that. So I thought, you know what? I'll take it on. We'll see where we go from it. Kind of dove in and haven't looked back since. It'll be 2 years in September that I've been working in the rental division, and I love it. I love meeting people and having conversations with people, different people every day, learning about their lives, and really at the bottom line is just helping them. I love helping people. I love giving back. I definitely love working with the community and things like that. And so this is kind of a niche that I didn't realize that I found in my life that I would love so much, I guess. But I really do love it.
Yeah, and you do a great job. You're
Thank you.
responsible for leasing up hundreds of homes and overseeing that
Yes.
process. And really, I know you have a heart for helping out tenants and first-time home buyers and people that may not always get full attention when they're entering into the housing market. And so we certainly appreciate what you do there. Let's talk a little bit about the real estate market as it relates to renting or the single family rental market. So tell us, we've talked a lot about home sales, supply and demand in 2019. What did that look like in the rental world?
In 2019, I would definitely say that we were still a lot of mixture of people that just aren't credit wise there yet, definitely still need to rent, but don't have a whole lot of work to do. A couple years in a rental house, and then they're looking to purchase a home, whether that be like a rent to buy or working with a real estate agent and actually purchasing and buying a home. Um, Going into 2020, I will say that I definitely see a huge increase in people that own homes that are selling their homes. And because of the supply and demand, they can't find a home to buy that meets their needs. So they're choosing to rent for a year, 18 months, deciding whether they want to build or if they want to buy. They continue to look. Some of the people that I talk to are people that are, again, almost there, ready to buy, but they're just not sure because, again, there's just not enough homes out there. People are selling, but then they have nowhere to go because there isn't a home that meets their needs that they're wanting to fulfill. So it's almost, we call it pre-leasing in the leasing world. And I will say that probably 50% of my homes right now are pre-leased. So I work with the client, I negotiate with them going through the whole process as far as, what it is that a rental home is, because I think that sometimes when you have a home or seller, I should say, that sells their home, when they're going out and they're looking for a home, they want a few different things on their checklist. And while in rental homes, you can definitely do that, you can check those boxes off. I see a lot of people looking at cosmetics and things like that. So yes, it may not be the paint color that you love, but it is a rental home. And so those are the kinds of things that I have to work with people on, just making sure that they understand that it is a rental property. Typically people are very lenient with things. The owners of the properties, as far as, if you take care of the home, then they're fine with whatever you do. But again, just walking people step by step, it could be an application process. I mean, I've had people that are elderly and they don't know how to do an email. So I've had to create an email for them, and At 9 o'clock at night, they're calling me because they get an email and they don't understand it. And so I'm walking them through that. But again, it just comes really back to helping people and getting them into a property that they love and just giving them that reassurance that everything's going to be okay, because sometimes it can get a little scary when you're down to the wire and don't know where you're going to go and where you're going to live. So
Yeah. So what I hear you saying from 2019, 2020 looked a lot, coming into COVID looked a lot like that. We had, um, much like it was a seller's market, it was almost what we could
yeah.
maybe call a landlord's market, because homes, just like when they hit the BLC, they come up for sale, and many times there's already buyers in line for it. Now you're pre-leasing, or there's tenants already in line. So there's a demand which seems to exceed the supply that's out there. Is that what you're seeing in the single family rental world? How does it look in terms of enough homes to meet the demand in the school systems and condition and things like that?
I definitely think that there's a shortage in supply for sure. I think that that's why we pre-lease so much currently. But I also think that it comes down to just making sure that you're really communicating with the individual and, trying to make them understand that we are in this market. I get it. You want to see a house. You don't typically go into it blind. But if you wait, those homes are going to be gone. Just like the retail side of it. If you wait and you don't make your offer and you go home and you think about it for 24, 48 hours, most likely when you come back, the house isn't going to be available. So really just making them understand that, there's a no risk policy on a lot of places that we work with, a lot of companies that we work with. So when I say no risk, I mean as in they put their deposit, they sign their lease, but if that home doesn't meet their needs when they see it, then they have an option to cancel their lease and get out of it. So just making them feel comfortable and really just working with them and making them understand how the market is right now.
Yeah, no, that's really good. So there's a set of expectations that you set up. When you talk to any tenant, hey, this would be a good, uh, uh, here's the things you need to be prepared for. So if we're speaking to a group of tenants right now, what would be the 3 or 4 things that you would tell them to have up front as they go out and search for a new home to lease?
I would say definitely make sure that you have your paperwork ready to go. I always go through the yeah, I can't even think, the leasing qualifications. I always tell them that it's generally best to go ahead and apply and get approved, or at least, say if today we make the appointment for tomorrow, go ahead and get everything uploaded and ready to go, because even if you don't pay the application fee until you see the home, most likely somebody's going to come in and snag it behind you. So those are probably the biggest issues are concerns that I go over with everybody now. Like, really just understand that I'm talking to you about this home. Yes, if I'm setting this up for you to see it, but it's probably not going to be there if you do not. And that's one of the biggest issues I have. Again, we are a very big world of, you want to touch it, you want to see it, you want to, look at it. And I am the same way. I am too. I get it. But it just is not feasible right now because we have such big supply and demand issues. I will say that our vacancy right now is somewhere around 1.9%. So we are leased. I mean, if the house comes on the market, it will be not available for a month because, it takes 2 weeks for them to get out, and then you have another 2 weeks that you have to go in and turn it, and those homes are gone. I mean, they're gone.
Yeah,
So
so the
don't
value
wait.
yeah, so the value of working with leasing specialists like we have, like yourself, would be that when properties are coming up.
Yes.
Much like a real estate agent that's going to be selling a home, we know when we've got listings coming up in certain neighborhoods. When you've got rental properties coming up in certain neighborhoods, school districts, and you can work with these tenant prospects to say, hey, okay, hey, now is a good time to get, probably at least 2 months worth of rent together in your bank account, a couple months of bank statements, and um, make sure your IDs aren't expired. Have a maybe a couple months or a couple pay stub copies. These are things that any landlord's usually going to ask for, so that
Yeah.
when the time comes, like you're saying, that hey, we need to strike uh, when the home is out there, and we need to go jump on this. That the tenant is ready, because to your point, we work with many investors and landlords and property management companies that have a specific set of criteria. So the days of being able to just say, "Yeah, I'm good for my word," I'll sign the lease.
Yeah.
That there's more of a corporate feel to leasing right now. Not that the emotional part of it's gone, but that landlords are really vetting with the information that's available. They're really vetting tenants at a higher level. So I would add in there that tenants to be aware of that, and to be ready for that as they enter into the process. Would
I
you agree?
agree. And I think that some people, some corporately owned companies that we work with, they're even kind of catching on to the fact that they need to make sure that an individual may have a certain credit score, but if they don't pay a lot of their bills on time, that's actually a new criteria that I'm seeing coming across the board. Is they're even including credit card payments and things like that. So it's very important to make sure that you are ready, because there's so many boxes to check on a lot of people with the financial aspects of it as well. So I'm trying to make sure that I go over that really well with people, so they're not wasting their money. I mean, because yes, we are out to lease people's homes for them, but I also am, come from a background of, not very much money growing up, and my mom was a renter and all of her life, and $90 is a big deal. So $90 is, half a week's groceries. So I try to make sure that I strive to get that understanding with people. And, again, we work with a variety of people, so it's all over. But I'd say the best ones that I work with are the ones that, and maybe that kind of hits home a little bit more for me is, they are working to try in whatever situation that they had, and they are working to try to have a goal of buying a home. And so when we get to that goal of them buying a home, it's just great. Like, it really is a good feeling. So but even getting them a home and just having them, be happy with the rental property is fine too. They're just happy to have somewhere to live, because it's becoming to the point where you don't even know. I mean, you just have to snag up a house, because if you don't,
Right.
you won't have a place to live.
Well, and to that point, you want to be working with someone that knows the process, that someone that
Right.
knows something about real estate, rather than just going in blindly to a house and maybe talking to a landlord and saying, "Yeah, I'll rent this from you." While there's not anything wrong with that, there is precautions, and there is a need for a fiduciary to, or even a conduit, somebody that can be an advocate and help moderate both sides. And
Yeah.
from what I hear you saying is, not only are we talking about people that are maybe in the millennial age range that are moving out for the first time, then we also have folks that are just most comfortable and a best fit for leasing, their whole adult life. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. Actually, statistics say that 35% of the population, that's where they feel like, from an economic standpoint, is really kind of the proper percentage of tenants to homeowners is 35 to 65. For whatever reason, that home ownership is a good thing to strive for, but it doesn't have to be everyone's goal.
No.
And if it's not, that's certainly okay. Having a great rental house and having a great rental relationship with a landlord and a management company. We've seen some tenants stay in their homes for 15, 20 years. That's not everybody's story, but so it could be a stepping stone, or it could be a landing spot. And then, interestingly enough, you brought up that a lot of people have sold their home and they don't have a home that they can buy, or that they don't want to settle and get another home. So they've been renting maybe for a year while they decide to build and things like that. I really think that's interesting. And I want to speak to investors too, specifically on the Indianapolis market. Not only do we have this incredibly strong demand for home buyers, which you could see with homes being flipped and just the low days on market, but we have an incredibly strong tenant demand too. So
Yes.
a lot of corporate headquarters relocating here, a lot of job growth, statewide, a really healthy economy, a lot of good momentum. Even put quarantine in there, we still are seeing that. So from an investor standpoint, this really makes sense to target Indianapolis as a market because all of the things we've talked about. We have uh, good homes that are needed, right? That are in
Yes.
short supply. Even though we have had an influx of that, it's not meeting the needs right now. And so from an investor standpoint, not just strong market indications, um, but affordability. So affordability
Yes.
to buy in our market and invest and have rental property is something that you certainly can't do on the coasts. And that's why I really think being in the heartland and being in an area that grows at and does appreciate, but does so without the wild up and down swings, really makes it really a hallmark choice for investors. What do you say to that?
I agree. I see all, I mean, I see all aspects. I don't know that there's necessarily a con to renting. I actually have a friend who is a fellow colleague, and she and her husband up, sold everything, cars, houses, and decided to go and discover the world and live anywhere. It didn't matter where. It was wherever their heart took them. And so far, they've been out of the country. They've been in the U.S. once for about 6 months, and then they left and went out of the country. But I think that if you have a job that you work from home and you have the different capabilities of being able to be flexible with where you live and what you do and discover things, I would love to be able to pick up and go and sell everything and check out the world. So yeah, I mean it's all aspects of life basically. I don't know that there's any necessarily big cons for renting. I think that again we're in a different market, like you said, and there's so much growth in Indiana and Indianapolis. I mean, obviously, I'm probably partial because I've grown up here, but there's so much going on. I mean, right down to us having our office in the Fountain Square area. Coming from the Avon office and going to Fountain Square, it's a completely different lifestyle down there, and I love it. Like, I love that I can leave the office and go have lunch, 2 doors down, and, just people watch and see all the stuff and see all the growth that we're having. And my mom's family grew up in Garfield Park area. And so to drive through there now and see the businesses, thriving and building and just watching our community grow is amazing. So yeah, I mean, being able to advise people and let them know, where to go and what kind of, world are they looking for? Like, what kind of atmosphere do they want? Yes, then you want to go to this side of town, or whatever. So I enjoy that a lot. And working with people and letting them know, the pluses of where to go and where a home might fit best their needs and that kind of thing. So definitely, probably why I love it so much. Like, I just
Yeah.
talking to people. I'm a very social person, very social. So just getting to know them, getting to know their background. I've met all kinds of people, from people that custom build planes, and design them for stars and things like that, to somebody that does construction. Like, it's really, yeah, it's a great career. I love it.
Well, that's awesome. We're excited to be in business with you, and we know that you're going to continue to do a great job, and we would love to have you share some more on here in the future. For those of you guys that are getting into believe you're getting into the renting process, or are looking for homes now, feel free to definitely reach out. Kristina at indypropertysource.com. You can find us on the web at theindypropertysource.com. Investors, if you're looking to enter into our market, certainly check us out. We'd love to set up a market consultation with you. And then home sellers, we have a lot of home sellers that are selling their home. You make a good point that this is a channel that we need to be able to investigate. So, uh,
Yeah,
so definitely great tips there. And thanks for sharing today. And appreciate your time. We'll see you
no
guys.
problem. Thank you.